Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Virginia City Council Chambers. This is a regularly scheduled City Council meeting. We'll call this meeting to order. Today's date is Tuesday, July 23rd, 2024. The time is 5:30 p.m. Pam, would you please take the roll call?
Motley.
Here.
Friedlieb.
Here.
Paulson.
Present.
Beyondich.
Present.
Johnson.
Here.
Baranzelli. Cuffey.
Present. Would everyone please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. I'll move to item number 4 on the agenda, which is a public forum. This is an opportunity for a citizen or anybody else to come and speak before the council meeting this evening. This is your opportunity to do so. Is anyone in the audience like to speak? We see a gentleman at the podium. Would you please state your name for the record?
Greg
Please turn the
Lindsay.
right to green and welcome to the City Council.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank the council, administration, and the mayor for supporting the etched glass signs at the ITMEC. And the big news is this week we're going to get some signs put up there for advertising and family sponsorship. So I'm really proud to say that the two businesses that stepped up first are premier businesses, downtown Virginia businesses. The first one I'd like to recognize, if I could, is Masabi Sign and Northern Crane Service. That's owned and operated by Chris and Andy Ringsred. And it's especially proud for me that they took over my business, Northern Crane Service. And the other business is Rock's Jewelry with Julianne and Jim and family. So they're putting up a sign, and Shirley and I are going to put up a sign for our family too. So thank you, and I want to give a special thanks to Britt for helping me push this over the finish line for after 2 months. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lindsay. Okay. Anyone else in the audience that would like to speak this evening? Seeing none, we will move to item 5 on the agenda, which is the consent agenda. The following items will be enacted by one motion unless a councilor or the citizen of the City of Virginia requests that the item be considered separately. Item 5.1 is the approval and correction of the minutes of 5.1A, the July 9th, 2024 council meeting, and 5.1B, the July 16th, 2024 special meeting. Item 5.2 is the adoption of a finance resolution number 24-014, the schedule of bills. Item 5.3 is approve the exempt permit for Laurentian Arts and Cultural Alliance to conduct a raffle at the Ironton Memorial Event Center on August 10th, 2024. Item 5.4 is approve the following travel requests. Item 5.4A, Pamela Levine, City Clerk, to attend the LMC Clerk Training September 12, 2024 in Staples, Minnesota at no cost. Item 5.4B, Police Department, Officer Dan Nyland to attend the Law Enforcement Labor Services Annual Training September 4th and 5th, 2024 in Brooklyn Park, Minnesota at a cost of $929.70. Item 5.4C, John Swenson, our Community Service Officer with the Police Department, to attend the Minnesota Crime Prevention Conference October 7th through 8th, 2024 in Walker, Minnesota at a cost of $565. Both of these travel requests are in the 2024 police budget. And finally, item 5.5, which is a late add-on to the agenda, approve a one-day transit merchant license for Jack Provencher doing business as Fat Jack's Concessions. These are the consent agenda items before the council today. Looking for council action.
Move the consent agenda.
Councilor Paulson moves to approve the consent agenda. Is there support?
Support for discussion.
By Councilor Motley for discussion. Further discussion, Councilor Motley.
This one's for Pamela. Pamela, tell me more about 5.4A, please.
Thank you, Councilor Motley. So I was contacted by the League of Minnesota Cities to be on a panel for the Clerks Academy, which they have annually one in St. Paul and one in Staples. So I was asked to be on the panel to answer questions for the clerk, since apparently I have lots of experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, thank you, Councilor Molly. Pam, fantastic opportunity. Okay. Any further discussion on the consent agenda items? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Opposed? Motion carries. Item 6, appearances. We have no one scheduled to appear before the council today. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak? Once again, this is an opportunity. Seeing none, we'll move to item 7, unfinished business. Item 7.1, the clinic lease. I did have an opportunity to talk to Sam Stone. He contacted me with respect to the lease. It says they're working hard to work toward that end. He says time is ticking, and he hopes to work with our staff and our attorney to come to some kind of agreement, resolution, and proposal. And so I would ask our legal counsel, do you have any other updates with respect to our clinic lease?
Mr. Lindsay did tell me there was no additional updates at this time, just that they continue to work towards it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments about the clinic lease moving forward? Okay, thank you. We'll move to item number 8, discussion items. Item 8.1 is approve the request from the Dream Machines to block off Chestnut Street from the 100 block to the 500 block for the car show on August 17th, 2024. And the time correction is from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and the use of picnic tables, and to post no parking signs Friday, August 16th, 2024 for the cruise night, which begins at 5 p.m. Move to approve by Councilor Beyondich. Is there support?
Support.
By Councilor Motley. Is there any further discussion? A hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8.2, approve the first reading of the ordinance amendment, Chapter 11 of the City Code entitled Land Use Regulations Zoning, Section 11.30. And I would refer, Jenny, could you give us a little update what that is for the general public's information?
Yep, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
It has to do with the height allowed in the front yard for a chain link type fence, and moving that height from 3 feet to 4 feet, because the sections come regularly more standard in 4 feet. And Planning and Zoning Commission has set some precedent in approving those type of variance requests, so they feel that it's something that should be changed in the ordinance rather than continually approving variances for it.
Thank you, Jenny. Questions or comments? Councilor Beyondich.
I will move.
Councilor Beyondich, our liaison for the commission, moves to approve. Is there support?
I'll support for discussion.
Support by Councilor Paulson. Is there any further discussion? Councilor Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. Jenny, just for clarification then on where it says item, I guess, number 3, lot, hedges, walls, and fences. So does that include the hedges, the height of the hedges too at 4 feet?
At this time, it only was to include chain link fences.
Just the chain link
Yeah.
fences? Okay. And is that stipulated in here the right way, do you think?
We had Planning and Zoning review it and other staff review it, and I think that it is the correct way to have it.
In our packet, it just says lot hedges, comma, walls and fences, and then there's the red asterisk for height. So do we need to?
And the red asterisk was for the chain link fences specifically. Yep. Mhm.
So is there a specific definition that you want to include for the hedges or wall height?
I think those would just inherently then be the 3 feet,
Okay.
not the 4 feet,
Okay,
with the asterisk for the fences specific.
and with that clarification. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor Paulson. Thank you, Jenny. It has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8.3 is adopt a resolution to apply for and receive funds from the Minnesota Deed Redevelopment Program for Virginia Hospitality LLC, which is our hotel.
So moved.
Move to approve by Councilor Johnson and supported by Councilor Beyondich. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8.4, approve the request from Peter and Brenda Skorich to block off the 800 block of 5th Street South for the Neighborhood National Night Out Potluck Barbecue. I think they did this last year as well, and there was a lot of people in attendance.
So moved.
Move to approve by Counselor Beyondich and supported by Counselor Paulson. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8.5, another late addition to our agenda, is to set a special meeting at 8 a.m. on Thursday, August 15th, 2024, to canvass the ballots from the primary election.
So moved.
Moved by Counselor Beyondich to approve. Is there support? By Counselor Freelieb. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Move to item 9, committee reports. Item 9.1, the committee of the whole meeting that was held on July 16th, 2024. Turn this portion of our agenda over to our city administrator, Britt C. Bennis. Britt?
Thank you. On July 16th, 2024, Sean Lewis and Gary Francisco from Kraus Anderson were present to give an update on the Public Safety Center project. They did have discussion regarding the size of the elevator, inadvertently got downsized when they were doing the overall cost-saving measures, and our architect caught that and thought that we need to fix that back to what they actually wanted, so there was a little bit of a change. They brought forward other change orders, but the first one we approved was change order number 1 for the decrease of $76,195.37 for changes to the mechanical heating system in the apparatus bay of the Public Safety Center project.
So moved.
Move to approve by Counselor Johnson and supported by Counselor Beyondich. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
It was moved and supported to approve change order number 2 from Kraus Anderson for another decrease of $8,393.06 for electrical changes at the Public Safety Center project.
So moved.
Move to approve by Counselor Johnson and supported by, we'll go with Counselor Barnzelli. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
This is the discussion on change order number 3 we had regarding the elevator. We increased the size back from 2,500 pounds to capacity to a 4,500 pound capacity for an estimated increase of $10,000 for the Public Safety Center.
So moved.
Move to approve by Counselor Motley. Is there support?
Support.
By Counselor Johnson. Further discussion, Counselor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. And one of the reasons for doing this is the opportunity to use that elevator for training for not only our department, but the surrounding departments for gurney training inside the elevator.
Thank you. Moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
We had discussion at the meeting regarding the need to allow staff to approve time-sensitive change orders for the Public Safety Center project, especially ones that are going to type the project for long periods of time. So it was moved and supported to allow myself, the city administrator, to approve time-sensitive change orders during the public safety project up to $20,000. And I just want to make sure everybody understands that these still do have to come to the council for approval. I will just authorize them to go ahead and begin if it's something that's going to stop the project to a halt if for some reason something happens. Doesn't happen often, but every now and then. An example I gave the other day is if we were to find a barrel out there right now, we know the protocol, we know what we got to do, and I could give the authorization to go ahead and do that work and then come to the council for the change order.
So moved.
Move to approve by Counselor Freelieb. Is there support?
Support.
By Counselor Paulson. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And speaking of contamination, it was moved and supported to approve the change order number 4 from Kraus Anderson for soil remediation. This is specifically on the railroad grade at the Public Safety Center project site in the amount up to $200,000.
So
And this
moved.
is moved by Counselor Motley, supported by
Support.
Counselor Johnson. Further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Opposed? Motion carries. That's within the
the budget for that.
budget costs, yes, thank you. Counselor Beyondich.
Thank you. And I think when we talked about this earlier, that comes out of the contingency fund? Is that correct? Or is that a different one?
This is still within the budget. We had a budget,
the
we had a
budget.
line item for contamination. We just didn't know what it was going to be.
Oh, okay.
We're still in that budget.
Okay, so we won't be touching that contingency fund yet. Okay. And when we do, is that something that we could,
Yeah, we asked Sean at the meeting, at the committee of the whole meeting, to start that, when we did the MEC project, we had a running tally, and we asked them to do the same thing with the change orders, to do the running tally, and then when we happened to contingency, do that tally as well.
thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Beyondich. Counselor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. And being out there today for some other stuff, they are really being careful of what soil they're moving down to the couple inches, testing and making sure that they're only removing what needs to be dealt with to help with the cost savings with that. So they're doing a great job of being cognizant of our budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Johnson. It has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Sean Lewis from Kraus Anderson reported that Public Utilities is working with Kraus Anderson to contract Lumen to remove the fiber optic lines that are on the poles, which are in the way of our construction. The city attorney has now gotten involved, and sounds like Lumen has agreed to be there this week, so hopefully they do arrive and they get that moved for us.
Okay.
Thank you. We had a Street and Alley Committee meeting on July 11th, 2024. At the meeting, at our committee of the whole meeting, Mr. Matt Reed also presented regarding the proposed 2025 mill and overlay project. What we had presented at the Street and Alley Committee was the entire potential streets that would qualify for this type of work, fully understanding we're not going to be able to do all those streets in 1 year. Therefore, it was moved and supported to proceed with all roads identified in the 25 project overlay and allow staff to prioritize those roads to be included in the base bid and then those that will be included in the ad alternate.
Move to approve by Chair of Street and Alley, Counselor Freelieb. Is there support? By Counselor Beyondich. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
It was moved and supported to allow staff to seek appropriate funding for the proposed 2025 overlay project for the prioritized roadways.
So moved.
Move to approve by Counselor Paulson. Is there support?
Support.
Made the motion? Motion by Counselor Motley, excuse me. Supported by Counselor Beyondich. Is there any further discussion? I apologize. Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Opposed? Motion carries.
At the Street and Alley Committee meeting that was held on the 11th, Mr. Reed was directed to reach out to the school regarding the overlay on the streets that surround the new North Star Elementary. At the Committee of the Whole, Mr. Reed reported that he did talk to the school. The good news is the contract with Kraus Anderson can be and will be extended to allow the mill and overlay of the 500 block of 2nd Street, 500 block of 4th Street, and a small portion of 6th Avenue that immediately abuts up to the school in order to get those done before the school year begins. It was moved and supported by the council to approve the reconstruction project of the noted streets for mill and overlay repair around North Star Elementary with Kraus Anderson in an amount up to $100,000. And the school has agreed to pay the $30,000.
And the school agreed to pay $30,000 of that, okay? Move to approve by Counselor Freelieb. Is there support?
Support.
By Counselor Johnson, supporting. Is there any further discussion? Counselor Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. And I just want to get clarification. I'm sure I asked this last week, but the residents will not be assessed for this at all for the mill and overlay.
No, and the reason why we are not is because 2nd Street, once the steam conversion is completely done in 2026, we have to redo all the infrastructure, and at that time, we will be assessing. So this is the temporary fix for now, and then.
So
we will-
residents will not be assessed until there is a complete reconstruction. So the mill and overlay will not be assessed to residents.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Counselor Paulson. This has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
The great news, I just got right before I came here at 5:11 PM, they'll be starting on that tomorrow. So contingent upon our approval, of course, though thankfully we approved it.
Excellent.
Yeah, great news.
Starts tomorrow.
Be nice to have that done. Mr. Matt Reed presented information again from the Street and Alley Committee on the 18th Street Culvert Project. The council opted to not accept the bids at that time, but we never formally rejected them. Therefore, at the committee of the whole meeting, it was moved and supported to reject all the bids for the 18th Street Culvert Project.
So moved.
Move to approve by Counselor Johnson. Is there support? By Counselor Freelieb. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
We did have further discussion on the rebuild of the 18th Street Culvert Project. It was moved and supported to approve the rebid of the 18th Street North Culvert Project.
So moved.
Move to approve by Counselor Johnson. Is there support? By Counselor Barnzelli. Is there any further discussion? Counselor Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. So I think last week, Sherry, when we discussed this, you weren't here. And I just wanted to, I voted no because I had felt that in our last conversations or discussions on this, you did not know where we were going to have, get the funds from. And I'm just, not to put you on the hot seat, but I just don't know if there's been any changes or if we still don't know where we would be able to get those funds from.
Can you refresh my memory?
Sherry, our finance director. Sherry?
How much was the estimate, Britt?
Well, it's going to
Particular
go
one.
out for rebid, I think.
Yeah.
And, but I think when we talked about it originally, and then, I don't know, to just refresh your memory, we had kind of discussed maybe just putting up some signage so traffic would know. It's by the golf course.
Yeah.
So traffic would know because we didn't have that in the 2024 budget. So now if we go out for rebid, Matt Reed was asking if the council has the appetite to go forward with the project, if it's going to be, I don't know, at least that, I would,
90,000 is what the estimate
90.
was. Yeah.
So I voted against that at the committee of the whole because I still don't understand or know where we were going to get the funding from.
I think we're sitting fairly well, being we're mid through the year, that we could probably either take it out of the general fund. Otherwise, last year when we did the $400,000 overlay, we never spent that. That came right out of the general fund.
Okay.
We never cashed those investments out, so that's still sitting there.
We have some allocation left
Yeah.
over for 2024 for this project.
Right.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you, Mayor.
And thank you. I do believe that we should move forward with the bid. And I know the concern with Matt Reed is if we don't have the appetite to actually repair it, why try to bid it on and have somebody bid it? But the fact is that we're going to get a bid. And if the bid comes within reason, and that's why people bid these projects. If we want to do it, we'll figure out how we're going to do it. But if it was coming too high, then we'll make a decision then. But I think by going out and bidding it, I think we had that very serious discussion last Tuesday that funding piece was an issue. But it looks as though if the event it comes in at a reasonable cost, should be able to cover that based upon the information from Sherry. So thank you for that. Thank you, Councilor Paulson. It has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
It was moved and supported to approve adding Widener Way drainage issue into the city's stormwater study.
Moved to approve by Councilor Freely, and supported by Councilor Johnson. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
It was moved and supported to add to the next committee of the whole meeting discussion regarding the housing mapping study.
I'll move to approve.
I'll move to approve by Councilor Paulson. Support
Support.
by Councilor Motley. Further discussion? Councilor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. I did not support this and will not be supporting it because the intent is to have very large maps printed. And I don't think that is a cost-effective use when we can be using the electronic version to be able to see things in real time as opposed to stagnant maps that will just get tossed and reprinted once we need to do it again. So I will not be supporting it under that premise. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Johnson. It has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Councilor Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. Jenny, were you able to get the dollar amount that we had paid to W.A. Fisher for those maps?
I reached out just right after that meeting, and I have not received a response in the dollar amount yet. We do still have the old maps. So in the
Maybe we
event,
could go off of that if even
I
though it's
think-
a little blurry. Would there be a way we could reach out to them to see if they can get it in more clarity?
we were
Then
working on that.
We wouldn't have to pay additional since the original was blurry.
We were working on that, and I still have to get the cost estimate from them yet, so.
Okay, so if there's no additional costs, if they would just be redoing something that came back to us blurry, I would assume they would do that at no cost.
That I don't know at this point.
Okay, so could you provide once you get that information, could you pass it forward how much it was from W.A. Fisher to make that originally? Okay, and I guess the point of it is just to have the discussion, whether it's electronic or in the map version, but the map version was supposed to be an interactive tool for us to be able to begin our discussion process. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, and as the motion is framed, that's to approve to add to the next community whole agenda, a discussion on the housing mapping study. So that has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
Roll call, please, Pam.
Johnson,
Nope.
Aaronzelli, Cuffey,
Aye.
Motley,
Yes.
Friedlieb,
Aye.
Paulson,
Aye.
Beyondich.
Aye.
A motion passes 6-1. Thank you. Thank you, Britt. Item 10, Commission Liaison Reports. Is there a counselor has a liaison report they'd like to provide today? Counselor Motley.
Yes, so Parks and Rec, just a reminder, there's music in the park on Tuesdays, which would be tonight at 6 p.m. Also, there's music on Silver Lake on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. The city band's last concert of the year is this Thursday at 7 o'clock at the Alcott Bandstand. I believe it is Phantom of the Opera, so that should be excellent. And then also, now that the park staff has caught up with the grass, they will be starting to remove some of the dead trees in our parks and along the boulevard. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Counselor Motley. Any other commission liaison reports someone likes to disseminate today? Counselor Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. I attended the Cable Commission meeting Wednesday, July 17th, and had several just items on our discussion. The first item was when I walked in there is hundreds and hundreds of pieces of electronic equipment that Steve Rockla is going through, and he will try to get serial numbers put together, and it will be working with Britt to determine the best way for disposal, whether they can be sold or if they just need to be hauled off or scrapped. So that was one discussion item that we had. The other item that the Cable Commission wanted me to, I guess, relay to the council is that they look forward to any future discussion that the council may be having with any additional cable providers, namely CTC. So I don't know where we are in conversation with CTC as doing some, maybe providing for the Paul, like Paul Bunyan does in Bemidji. It was again noted that the people are having trouble because MediaCom does not have an office location currently in Virginia. The office location is in Hibbing, and I believe that that is, again, in breach of the contract already. That was part of the MediaCom, or excuse me, the MediaCom contract, so that was something that we discussed as well. And as soon as they get the studio painted, they have user groups that are ready to actually use the studio for putting content out and streaming on our public access channel. So that's all I have to report for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Paulson. Any other commission liaison reports to come forward? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to item 11, department head reports. I'll start from left to right. Britt, any other additional department head reports to provide today?
Not that I can think of, just that they're starting that mill and overlay tomorrow on 2nd, 4th, and 6th Avenue. That'd be great to
Thank
see
you.
that wrapped up.
Yep, just be patient. It won't take long for that to get done.
There's not much,
Find an
not much
alternative
roadway
route.
left, so it'll be nice to have something there.
Find an alternative route. Thank you
Yeah.
very much. Okay. Anything from legal today?
Nothing today, Mayor.
Nothing today, thank you. Pam, any announcements?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Next council meeting will be at 4:30 on August 13th due to the primary election. So we have to be complete with our meeting by 6 p.m. So we're starting a little early.
Thank you, Pam. I hope that everybody can accommodate that. Thank you, Pam. Sherry, I know we talked earlier today, you're working digitally on the budget and getting closer and closer to a meeting.
Yes, correct. In fact, I'm working on the 2025 budget, so looking for money right now. My favorite part. So should be ready here,
Okay, good.
and we'll then be dispensing it to
Well, we're all up our
council
sleeves and get it accomplished, so
yeah.
thank you. Thank you, Sherry. Jenny, from Community Development, anything to offer today?
Sure, thank you, Mayor.
you.
I do want to say we've been getting a vast amount of roofing permits in, so I thank everybody and all of the companies that are submitting those applications to us to get those repairs done to the roofs from the hail damage from the storm. And, ask for patience when getting those permits back out there. We were just getting bombarded, and it's a good thing. So I just wanted to mention that. I also wanted to mention, I attended a county board meeting this morning where they had a public hearing on their cannabis business registration moratorium, which did pass. So the county, as a county-wide, will have that moratorium in place until December 31st, 2024, unless there's some reason that they repeal it. But the intent is to have it till December 31st, 2024. So.
Thank you, Jenny, very much. Okay. Any other department head reports? Council reports. Councilor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. I too wanted to give a shout out to the building department for I saw the stack that they're working through, and it's an incredible task, so they're being diligent. I wanted to point out that the actual bridge, the walking bridge, is being worked on as of today. They were out there getting I'm guessing it's where they attach the bridge to the ground out. So I'm just waiting now I'm guessing, I didn't see it delivered anywhere yet, so I'm hoping that shows up. Big shout out today for the staff at the Arntra Motors Event Center for the Family Fun Day. Both the mayor and I were there all day. The mayor had fun things to give out, like ice cream. And I'm sure he's going to mention that, which is great. It was fun. But they counted approximately 1,750 people coming in and out, and petting zoo and bouncy houses and stuff. So thank you to all the staff that worked hard on that and the community for turning out and enjoying it. It was inside utilizing the space because it was supposed to rain all day. And of course, it did not rain at all until the very end. And one final thing, I wanted just to do a little promotion for the AEOA Community Block Party this Thursday from 4 to 7 at the AEOA parking lot on 3rd Avenue. Sorry, their address is technically 702 3rd Avenue South, but it's the parking lot on 2nd Avenue. Free food, a lot of vendors, community vendors, a lot of resources available for everybody. So looking forward to seeing folks out there as well. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor Johnson. Just to add on to what you indicated with respect to Family Fun Day, I want to thank all those vendors, the food trucks, and everybody who participated in that as well to make it a successful event. I mean, we had the employees working hard. It went very smoothly, but if it wouldn't have been a successful event if we didn't have those vendors coming in from insurance companies, from the Giants Rage, from all the food trucks, the little markets, and the little like the, what do you call them? We have those little shop and save or shop and stuff like we have. I mean, there's a lot of vendors there too, and they took some time out. And I bought a lot of bakery goods there and some other things. So, other than eating ice cream once in a while, I did lighten my wallet quite a bit. So, thank you everybody for participating. And thank you, Councilor Johnson, for reaching out for that. Anyone else? I have a couple of announcements. First, for those of you who don't already know and have already been visited, St. Louis County assessors are going to door, knocking on your door. And I ask you not to panic about that. All they're doing is trying to assess maybe some of the damage you might have had in your home, and there might be some way to abate your property values there and make some adjustments to your property taxes. So having a conversation with them in that regard, they'll become going door to door, every door in the city of Virginia, and primarily those who have filled out the forms, and I think we have 235 of them. Or, excuse me, I stand corrected, as a former council used to say. 445 homes, so be patient and they'll be coming forward. So thank you for that. Also, I just want to, on June 27th, 2024, there was a proclamation ceremony by United States Steel Minnesota Ore Operations. And they've adopted what they call the Beyond the Yellow Ribbon campaign. And the purpose of this is to support military veterans, those who are currently serving in active and reserve status in the company. They're providing opportunities for them to make sure they have the time off in which to go. They're helping sustain and support families for the extended deployments of the people that work for United States Steel. I had the opportunity to attend that. It was a very moving experience. There were speakers from all over, admirals and captains and colonels operating that facility. The color guard was performed by the Chisholm Color Guard, and they were all United States Steel workers. They posted the colors. And there was a gentleman, a reservist, that sang the national anthem. It's one of the most moving songs of national anthem I've heard in a long time. So to U.S. Steel, thank you for doing this. Thank you for being part of supporting the U.S. military service. It was a great event, and thank you for the invitation. So they passed out some hats and some signature pins and things of that nature, so challenge coins, and I was able to collect some of those, and we'll be distributing them to staff and others, so thank you. I want to take an opportunity to thank the FinFest, the Grand Lodge, National Grand Lodge of Finnish Heritage was in Virginia, Minnesota, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. They're going to be in Duluth this weekend, apparently. They began their festivities at the Alcott Park Bandstand. They sang the national anthem of the United States, the national anthem of Canada, and the national anthem of Finland. And there's a gentleman, I don't know what his name is, I should have written it down. He was phenomenal. He did a great job. And Maya, who is part of the Kelleval Hall group of people, did a lot of work decorating and putting flowers up and making sandwiches and participating and making that a successful event. And Regina Costello, who was the contact person for that, invited us to come there, and on behalf of the council, was able to give an opening welcome. I did not know that there was a Finnish plaque in Alcott Park until Gina Costello's husband sent me some pictures of what was supposed to be where the plaque was located, but it was overgrown with a bunch of bushes. So I called Britt, and she talked to Brian Silber, and they got staff up there, and they cleaned all that out and exposed that finished plaque, which I didn't know even existed there. So now, if you have an opportunity, go up and visit there. I think it was a plaque commemorating the settlement of the Finnish people in Virginia, Minnesota in 1891, and it was dedicated plaque to those people in 1964 by the Kelleval Association. So if you have a chance, it's located right behind the fountain. There's a little bush with a little white picket fence around there. Visit it sometime. It was a really neat thing. So thank you for holding your celebration here, and thank you, Maya, for participating and be part of that process. Okay. And last but not least, the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities held a meeting on July 18th at the Arlington Memorial Event Center, giving an update on what the 2024 legislature was like and what's looking for in 2025, and looking at some info from our staff with respect to that. In attendance were representatives from Ely, from Hibbing, and from Virginia. Britt was there, I was there. And so there's some packets of information that I'll be disseminating to all the councilors. Take a look at what they're doing. The state conference is this week in Wade Park, but Bradley Peterson, and who is the staff attorney and director of the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities, and Eric Simonson, former legislator, the lobbyist, provided a very detailed update of what happened in the legislative session, why wasn't there a bonding bill, and what's to come in the near future, and encouraging us to contact our legislators with our agendas for next year. There should be a bonding bill next year because there was supposed to be one this year. And so this is the time for us to move forward. And if we need to use them as a resource, they'll soon be representing us, and they do well for that. So that was a very informative deal. And thank you for the staff at the Ontario Memorial Event Center. There was a glitch with one of the podiums for the presentation, and the staff there were great. They switched it out in relatively quick fashion and never interrupted at all. And Sawmill catered with chicken tacos. So thank you very much for everybody. That was a great opportunity to visit with our representatives from the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities. So anybody else have anything they'd like to bring up before we adjourn for the evening? Okay, hearing and seeing none, we will adjourn our council meeting for Tuesday, August 13th, 2024. The time will be 4:30 p.m. 4:30 p.m. in the council chambers. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Lindsay. We stand adjourned. Have a great evening. Good night.